do you get when you combine a world-class EMS physician and medical director
I speak pretty good English for a guy from Detroit.
with an EMS veteran and all-around nice guy?
Well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, my God.
Well, you get the EMS show. Taking it to the people, here's your host, Dr. Ritu Sani and Mike Vercast.
Well, howdy doody, everybody. It is great to see you. Dr. Sani,
Yes.
I always start off with that. But you know what just occurred to me?
What just occurred to you?
You have first billing in our intro. Dr. Ritu Sani and Mike Vercast.
Well, I just thought you were being polite.
Well, of course I'm being polite. That's what I do. But
I thought it was alphabetical order by last name.
It could have been. Yeah, that's true. I'm used to being at the end.
Yeah. Last guy. Not the last guy picked.
Oh, usually the last guy picked too. And Jay-Z's on and already harassing us about this better be better than Z-Dog.
I don't understand what he was saying.
Yeah, me neither. I was so confused. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Happy EMS week to everybody that's watching. 3,944 people already on with us.
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
I think my mom's watching because I think she tried to call me just now. Hi, Mom.
I love moms. It's so good. Hi, Mom. It's so good. Oh, I see you have a beverage in your hand, a frosty beverage of some kind.
Well, it's a I went with Big Ice Cube today.
I love Big Ice Cube. When I was cheers. When I was at was it Wave? No, where was that? Yeah, it was Wave. They had the best Manhattans.
I know.
Yeah, Well, we were there for NAMSP, but I mean, you were there also for the other. But I'm just saying, you and I we've been there together.
Yes.
Are you confused by that? Like, what are you? What's going on with you tonight? Are you good? Are you there?
I'm good, man. Spent 8 hours moving the meat and taking care of patients, and now I'm here.
Yeah, that's good. I was doing that too. It wasn't moving the meat so much as you were, but anyway, it was a great day. I went and met. We got a new academy that started yesterday, so I was talking to the peeps this morning, bright and early.
I think I'm supposed to be out there tomorrow. No? A week from tomorrow?
I think it's next week.
Yes.
Once again, tips on how to manage your schedule brought to you by Dr. Ritu Sani. Yes, it's a pregame. Anyway, but the point I was talking about was at the Big Ice Cube when I was at the whatever that is in Austin, the Marriott or JW, whatever.
The JW, yep.
Yeah, it was good. But anyway, it is super great to see everybody. Thanks for jumping on, spending a little bit of time with us for this EMS Week Live special. Here's a quiz to the people, not to Dr. Sani because he knows the answer. Well, let's see who's been paying attention. Who was our special guest last year on EMS Week Live broadcast? Let's see if somebody puts it in the comments. We'll send you some EMS show stickers. So if you get it right, I will send you an EMS Week packet special EMS Week sticker. Let's see who's paying attention. No one's going to know. They can't go back and look because it was on the other show.
Right? We didn't have anybody on this show.
We didn't have anyone on this show, but it was still our annual same.
It was our EMS Week show. And yeah.
So no one's in the comments, so they're not going to know. So I think you should tell them and you should show them.
I should show them?
Yeah.
Like the picture from the other day?
No, or what's ever on your shirt right now. Too.
Yeah. Well, I can show them the picture or I can show them the shirt.
Hey, man, whatever you need to do. The Sklar Brothers.
The Sklar Brothers were our guests last year.
Yeah, pretty big
deal. They came on to help us celebrate EMS Week, and they did 20 minutes of comedy for us, and they are wonderful guys, and they're touring again. So if you get an opportunity to see them, like I did last week, they're great guys. They might have gone to a fantastic university at one point in their lives.
I'm trying to do the M. I don't know if that's even a thing for
Your
them.
wife can't remember what she did 5 minutes ago. She was talking on the phone to me 5 minutes ago. But anyway,
That's true.
yeah, they were fabulous. They did a little bit of humor for us, and so we talked to them about coming back this week, and unfortunately, the only day this just didn't work out. They're doing a fundraiser today for one of their kids' school, and this is actually the only day that the two of our schedules lined up to do a live broadcast. So, but they're great supporters of the show. I saw them perform last week here in Portland before they headed up to Seattle. Got a chance to talk to them after the show.
Yep.
They asked how our podcast was doing. And they've said that anything they want, anything that we, they can help out. So we're definitely going to have them back on the show to talk, do a little comedy for y'all. And I don't know, I'm going to pitch a little bit of an idea to them to talk a little bit about humor and kind of its role in leadership and its role in stressful situations. So I think that we shall hopefully meet up with those guys again. They're wonderful people. They went to Michigan. That's actually how I met them, although not we didn't go at the same time.
Yeah.
Met them at an alumni function, and they've been I like their friends.
That's really awesome. Yeah. I mean, we've talked about this 1,000 times, like with the whole theory of like 7 degrees of separation or whatever. Like somebody in our group knows famous people, right? In your network, in my network, and all of our people, and in their networks. Like we know a famous person, the very closest that we ever got to getting. Well, besides this was before Sklar.
I'd say the Sklar brothers are solid B-lister.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no. So this is not yeah, no, that's cool. I'll definitely take that. But we were this close to getting the kid from Free Willy to come on here. He's all grown up now. His name's Jason. I mean, that's pretty cool. Everyone loves Free Willy. I gotta adjust my camera. It's a little crooked and it's bothering me. Golly.
So yeah, but here's the Sklar brothers shirt signed by them. Got that at the show. Again,
that's cool.
Very funny guys. Just really nice. Good and friends of EMS. They actually have their cousin is an emergency physician. So they're
that's right. That's right.
They're dialed into the EMS world too.
Yeah. So, I love you too, Nathan Smith. We had some good talks the other day. But anyway, I didn't even ask you. We got see, this is what happens. We have 7 slides. One of them doesn't matter. It's sort of the closer. And Ratu was like, oh God, do we need more stuff? And I'm like, no. And we started talking about the ice cube, and we got off onto the Sklar brothers, but we didn't talk about what was in your cup. So what is it you got there?
Oh, I just went with just a kind of regular old kind of sipping bourbon. I wanted it colder today, so I went the big cube. But this is the Burnside Distillery here in Portland, and this is their Goose Hollow bourbon. So it is aged in, I think, Pinot Noir casks.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, no. That's a different bourbon that they have. It's aged in a specific Oregon oak that is only available to them.
Okay. Well, that is really cool. That is awesome. I love that. Burnside's great. I am drinking.
Oh, yes.
My birthday present from one Eric Bauer. This is the Rip 10, the Rip Van Winkle. So this is the Baby Pappy, and I'm super excited about it. And I took a little sip the other day. Oh, Dave Olvera drinking a bourbon milkshake with us. Ah, nice. So this is very good. I'm going to give you a little taste.
Oh, are we doing Taste-O-Vision now?
It's so good. It's so
if you're
smooth.
Listening on a podcast, just place your phone up to your tongue.
Yes, exactly. Most people are just watching us on this, but anyway, we've already lost 1,000 viewers because of our jackassery. Anyway, let's just jump in. We obviously want to say thank you for all you do. The last year's been crazy. The last 2 years been crazy. You've heard that 1,000 times. We love you. Thanks for the work that you're doing out there. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
And let me know when it gets better, because it doesn't feel like it's getting better yet.
It's a fugazi. People think it's better. It's not getting better.
Yeah, we're constantly on divert. We're boarding.
Yeah.
It's the same. And then our numbers are going way up.
Yep. Our numbers are going way up. Plenty of the situation. We haven't really talked about the situation a whole lot, but it's because it was over. It was over. Congratulations. I can tell you personally, it is not over. My daughter got COVID last week, and she is feeling much better and actually tested negative today. So
good.
that was good. And we just did our second test, and we are still negative. Literally just before we came on the air, still negative, and so that's good.
You've been double.
Yeah.
A friend tested positive too,
yes, a
right?
friend tested positive. So we had I've been, and this is one of the slides that we're going to talk. In fact, it might be the next slide.
I think it is.
Right there. It is conference season, right? Like there's conferences going on. I have been to 3 already this year, right?
Me too.
And
I missed one.
And you've only been to one?
No, I missed one.
Oh, you missed one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, you did. IC in April, then went to Wave in April, and then we just had Fast 22 in Vegas last week. Yeah, I'm lost on my days. Last week, yeah, awesome. It was so good. But people still have COVID. People are still passing COVID. It's just it's still out there. And I had
I went to the New Frontiers in EMS conference in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is I'd never been before. Oh my God, it's gorgeous.
Well, I mean, just if you don't know Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, just Google it and just look for the Coeur d'Alene golf course or whatever it's called, Lake Coeur d'Alene, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So did you ever end up seeing the pool that you can see from the lobby? Did you, maybe you didn't stay in that hotel?
No, they said that there's like an infinity pool at the golf course.
Yeah, no, this is the see-through, it's the see-through bottom of the pool in one of the hotels. Now, I was stationed at Fairchild Air Force Base in Spokane, and we would go to Lake Coeur d'Alene because there was nothing to do in Spokane. But I specifically remember walking into the a lobby, one of the hotels there, and look up, and you can see people swimming like 10 stories up. So it's like,
Oh yeah. No, that wasn't this. But we were at the Coeur d'Alene Resort, which is like the big resort there.
Maybe they just don't have it anymore. I don't know, but it was pretty cool.
We talked about various things. I mean, at ESO Wave, I showed up and Alan Johnson said, "Hey, are you free to talk?" Like, what?
I love that.
Sure, I'll be here. You paid my way since I'm here as part of your medical directors panel.
Oh, right.
Yeah, they have a half day meeting or a full day meeting with ESO, with medical directors of agencies that use ESO, for us to basically browbeat Brent Myers and tell him, that their product's a piece of shit. I mean, that it's not. It's wonderful, but to tell him, how we use the product and what we would like to have be better. Also talk a lot about research and that sort of thing. But I'll be honest. I mean, we're pretty brutally honest when things are not working. So which is great, because Brent's like, if you don't tell me this, then I'll never know. So
that's one thing that was really a theme that I noticed as I was there for Fire Dog Productions, doing some videos and stuff. And I mean, obviously I'm a user of ESO, but they definitely relish the fact of getting real feedback from people that are using it, right? And I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, no, and there, it's a little bit of a cheering festival, but it's interesting because it's a corporate event, but there's a lot of great education that goes on, a lot of discuss. So they mix it up a little bit, and a lot of kind of unveiling of their new products and things. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah. And then, oh, sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, then we had Fast 22 last week. I had the pleasure of hosting.
I'm unfamiliar with that conference.
Yeah. Well, you've been to Fast 18 and 19 and 20. Did you go to 21? I don't remember. That was the virtual
21
one?
was in Nashville.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yes. Yeah.
We did it.
Yes,
we did it virtually,
but in person and virtual, and it was weird.
I'm unfamiliar with that conference.
Anyway, it was awesome. A lot of great speakers, 2.5 days, 2 days. Well, it was 3 days with the pre-cons. Really great. And then as our friend Rob Lawrence pointed out, we got the Eagles conference coming up next, which is in June. I don't think I'm scheduled to go to that, although Peter was trying to get me to come do some fire dog stuff. Remains to be seen. So
I also will not be attending Eagles. Yeah, I have stuff going on.
You haven't typically been an Eagles attender. That's not a new thing. You just
No, I mean, I went when I was NAMSP president, because they had said they would like the NAMSP president to come as an Eagle.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
It's, I mean, I love every one of those people who presents there is a friend of mine, almost every single one of them, and I love them. I know they enjoy it. Our friend John Jew, who is one of our medical directors in the region, just really relishes it. It hasn't been my thing.
Yeah. No, that's totally cool. I mean, I've gone to it once, and I thought it was great. I love how they are literally like, if you're not familiar with Eagles, there's a bigger name for it. It's like the Metropolitan something or other Gathering of Science or some shit. Anyway, it's really great, and they will literally do 100 talks in a day.
It's the medical directors of the top 50 sort of metropolitan areas in the country, and then as Ray Fowler likes to say, if you can see it from space, you're probably an eagle. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Can't see Lake Oswego from space, but you can see frickin' Mount Hood.
That's true.
Yeah, no, great. It's great. And they do, it's basically TED Talks, 15, 20 minutes.
Sometimes 2 minutes or 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I like those ones.
It was started in Pittsburgh by Paul Pepe, and he's still highly involved. Our friends Peter Antevi and Scott Gilmore are very involved. All great people. So go for it. Enjoy it. And then let me know what you catch.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Hopefully you just catch a little, motivation to
catch some knowledge.
Catch some knowledge. All right. Hey, listen, our first topic tonight is this role of
what is this?
The role of nurse practitioners in emergency medical services. So this is a position paper that came out earlier, like about 5 days ago, from the American Academy of Emergency Nurse Practitioners, or AAENP. You can follow them on Facebook. In fact, if we're friends on Facebook, I shared a link to it, and there were some really interesting comments. Essentially, it's a position paper that says I'm gonna cheapen this a little bit. Just because I didn't commit the whole thing to memory, so I'm not a very good host. But the reality is that there is a place, right? And I think that's what we're talking about here, right? And what is that place? I think it remains to be seen a little bit. There are some places out there doing it, which we'll talk about here in a minute. But personally, like I shared this. I think it's great. And one of the and I got a lot of comments on the post that I shared, which I'm actually, so there's just a couple here, because I think this was a little bit of the dichotomy, right? The first one, the longer thing on there, and again, if you're watching this live, I'm not sure how well you can see that little slide on there, but it's from a very good friend of ours, an excellent paramedic. He's a flight medic now. We worked with him very closely for years. His name's Garth Hope Milnick, and I love him. He's so thoughtful and smart.
Paramedic at Multnomah County and Clackamas County, and former, I think, a rat guy, reach and treat paramedic.
Absolutely, yeah. So very versatile. He works for Life Flight now. He's a super guy,
nice guy.
Yeah, and he's just so thoughtful. And basically, he said, I mean, there's probably a fantastic place for nurse practitioners in the system, but boy, the whole idea is tricky and problematic. To which I replied, well, I love your brain, because he's always because he's got something brewing in there, right? He's always, like I said, very, very thoughtful. And I said, tricky and problematic how? And this was kind of his response. He said the position statement is going to hit EMS providers all wrong, for starters. Really mash all the EMS versus nurses buttons. Nursing organizations have always been great at advocating for their members, but this has negatively impacted EMS at times. I'm just going to read it. It talks a lot about nurse practitioners taking leadership roles in a system that they may or may not have originated from. It would not be great. It would be great to have strong suggestions from nurse practitioners to have roots or backgrounds in EMS. I think involving nurse practitioners in mobile integrated health would be fantastic. I think we can all agree with that. There is a role, I think, beyond that personally, but we can come back to that in a minute. Suggesting nurse practitioners should be involved in triage or as on-scene online medical control for EMS providers without also stipulating some serious educational and experiential requirements for them seems like a recipe for trouble. I would agree with that. I don't know that I read into it that much, but I mean, clearly Garth did.
Oh no, yeah, they come right out and they say it.
Yeah. EMS functions more in a medical model, fix the problem, compared to the nursing model, which is take care of the person. I think so. But again, this is Garth's brain, and I love it more than anything. He says, I absolutely love the nurses I work with. They can absolutely make a fantastic pre-hospital provider, but they need to work with EMS providers in an equal, collegial, and collaborative approach. And that was by far the most popular comment on the little thread.
There was a lot of so I saw it when my friend Loje Barnes.
Yeah.
Do you know Loje?
Uh-huh.
She's fantastic. And don't make her mad because she boxes.
Oh, perfect. Yeah,
excuse me. Let me backtrack. Dr. Loje Barnes.
Thank you.
She has her PhD now.
Uh-huh.
And she was not happy about this. And then I think you posted Amber, our friend Amber Hossack's post. I don't know if Amber's watching tonight.
She's usually watching, but I don't know if she's popped on yet or not.
So, yeah, I mean, she kind of, her response was, why are we not creating EMS pathways for advanced paramedicine? Not only would this bring more credibility to the work being done, but would create higher wages as well. Nathan Smith responded that we waited too long.
Who is watching?
As others have said, we can't agree on much as a profession, and we are stagnating. Oh yeah, Nathan's on today.
Yeah. So
yes.
I mean, I love these two things. In fact, I think I agree with Nathan. I mean, I think we have tried some of the stuff, right, with community medicine, and look how that some places have been wildly successful with community medicine programs, whether that's focusing on readmissions or focusing on frequent users or whatever, opioids or, name your thing. I think there are a lot of, in fact, we've been pretty gosh dang effective with Project Hope and a number of things. And, our paramedic, Amy Jo Cook, doing an amazing job with one person, right? We have two with Dan, kind of this, quarter time thing. But, I mean, I think I agree with Nathan. I mean, some places like LA, next slide, please. Right here.
I'm doing my slides.
Oh wait, no, I didn't put LA on there, but I put that in the comments. So there was actually LA, city of LA has nurse practitioner units, and they go out there and they do a ton of work on frequent users. They do treat and release. They manage a lot of these low acuity things, and I like that for me. And I think of our system, and again, people hate our. Oh wait, did you share something? Do you want me to put it up here?
Yeah.
There.
So that's the reference to the paper
you.
that was written by my friend Mark Eckstein, who's no longer at LA. They are hiring though. If anybody's interested in being the medical director for the Los Angeles Fire Department, my application has not been submitted. But that's the reference: advanced practice providers in the field, implementation of the LA Fire Department Advanced Provider Response Unit. So that's it brings up a lot of interesting issues. Some of the discussion around, I think a lot of people have made this argument that, well, this is because we don't have degrees in EMS. Like, if we had a degree program, maybe, Bill Toon. Yes, we are talking about something clinical. Dave Olvera, and we'll just put it out there. He puts on the thing, this would be great for EMS if there wasn't pushback from the IAFF. And I'm not quite sure that's completely fair to the IAFF. But I know me, I like to get along with everybody. But I think so. Number one, we both work in a state where all of our paramedics have associate's degrees.
Yeah. What do you mean you guys don't have degrees?
So that's one of the things that's really kind of odd is for us, and we know that we're in only one of two states, unless Kansas no longer requires it. I'm not quite sure.
I don't think that's the case.
You think Kansas still requires a degree?
I think so. Yeah.
So we know that we're in only one of two states that requires a degree, and then I'm faculty. I'm still faculty, although I have done nothing for that fact department in years at the University of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Where they have a bachelor's program, and so there are a lot of bachelors there's a couple bachelors in EMS programs out there, and then also looking at master's degrees around management and those sorts of things. But here's my take. So I have very mixed opinion. Number one, I think a degree requirement makes a lot of sense. I think that the idea that this is a certificate job is, look at our protocol book. It's really fucking huge, right? And our protocol book, our protocol book requires you to have some like baseline knowledge. And so, I think that the minimum it's there should be a degree. But what I don't agree with is this idea that a degree is the ticket to better wages in EMS. Because I think that what drives the economics is a very different piece than what drives the sort of educational requirements. And I think that this idea that if we all had associates, and I can't say we because I'm a doctor. I have a little bit of a higher degree than an associate.
Humble brag. No, that's good. I'm just kidding.
It says right on the fucking thing, Dr. Ritu Sani.
I know.
I know.
Yes.
But I think people would be surprised to hear that when you call 911, the paramedic doesn't even have a degree. Right. But people would also be surprised to hear that to be a practicing nurse, you only need an associate's degree. A lot of places, say, well, we only hire bachelor's degrees. But that still said, I think that, a lot of people will be surprised. Rob Lawrence seems to agree with me. I appreciate that. And the economics oh, thanks. Yeah. Bill's a PhD, right? Bill Toon. I'm a physician. He's a doctor. So yeah, to get people paid, you got to put money into the system. And the reality is that there's the money in the system, is not exorbitant. We're less than 1% of the total Medicare budget. We do not pay EMS systems for preparedness. Oh, by the way, when the whole country was running a fucking pot and nobody knew how to run a goddamn event, who did they call to fix everything out about a pandemic? It was EMS.
You're right.
We all have community stories around how people were freaking out. And then they called EMS and they fixed it. So, but at the end of the day, there's still no money for being ready for the preparedness part of EMS. Right. I think until you can get more money into the system, that's what's going to drive EMS salaries higher. And I think if you can couple that with educational requirements so that you can say, we're going to pay more and we're going to require more, because what we don't want to do is have the money go into the system and go elsewhere besides to the people providing care.
Right.
right? I'm a man of the people. I think the people who provide the care should be being paid, and the reality is they're not being paid that well at all. But this isn't. Somebody pointed out this is not about nurses. This is about nurse practitioners. So this is not only this is a master's level prepared person, in working in in EMS.
Yeah.
Um,
So with that said, there are some people that have some good comments. So we're gonna try something here that we've never done before on the EMS show, and that is if you want to call in, we will take your phone call right now. So it looks like Brad, who is on the call, is a nurse practitioner. So Brad, you wanna call that phone number on there, and we will put you on, and we would love to have a discussion with you about this. So this is a Google phone number that's just going to ring to my phone. Don't be trying to text it because it ain't going to work. Right. You know what I'm saying? But feel free to, if you guys want to talk about this, or if you want, we would love to take your call and just see what we can, this could be the worst idea ever. I don't know. But if you want to call, you just do it. And I'm waiting here for you to call me. I've gotten a few texts from a few people, so we'll see if somebody calls, but nonetheless, I think it's a good discussion. I guess my question is like where, I mean, I love the idea of nurse practitioners. I love what LA did. I didn't get to that other slide because we just hadn't got to there yet, but Austin Travis County looking for a nurse practitioner right now. So I had that little piece up there. Let me see if I can get to that. This is sort of a little snippet of that job posting that they had. And look at that. Licensed to practice as a physician assistant or nurse practitioner in the state of Texas and current paramedic. So I like that, right? Like that's kind of the piece that Garth was talking about, because I mean, we see this all the time with new flight nurses. Now I'll just speak this much about it because I'm just copying what I hear from my colleagues at Flight Ed that do stuff. And when nurses want to come from the ICU or the ED to flight, right? It's not the medicine that's the struggle. It's the operational piece. It's the understanding, incident command. That's a lame example, but there are truly pieces to that, that are just different, right? And so that's the part that.
So having spent, before I was your medical director,
You're right.
I was the medical director for East Care in Greenville, North Carolina, the program of the year in 2001. And then I came out, actually, that's how I ended up in Portland. I was the Life Flight medical director for a couple of years. So I trained in emergency medicine and my EMS fellowship in a place with a fairly active flight program in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So I've flown a lot with flight nurses. I've flown a lot with flight paramedics. Actually, haven't flown a lot with respiratory therapists. Some flight places fly like respiratory therapists nurse rather.
Yeah.
And I think a pilot once put it. One of my experienced pilots, I think when I was in Pittsburgh, it might have been when I was in North Carolina, once put it together. He said, when you see a new nurse come out on our crew and that we do our first scene call,
yeah,
they're like, oh my God, this is so crazy. What do I do here? I don't know what to do here. But you turn it around, and when you see a new paramedic come to our crew and they do their first inter-facility ICU call, and they walk into the ICU and they're like, holy shit, what are all these lights doing here? I can't work with this much light.
Yeah.
That in a environment that in the flight environment in particular, where you have a lot of complicated patients and you're doing a mix of interfacility and scene, I think the mix of paramedic and nurse as two separate professions that provide healthcare with different models and different makes a lot of sense and is really helpful. But the reality is so that's kind of one piece, but this is about a nurse practitioner, and there's a lot in this paper to unpack, and it's really kind of weird. And here's one of my, not weird, I will point out that they did reference a paper that I'm an author on this. So
Hey, look at that.
look at that. Me and Ted Delbridge, when I was part of wrote the core content for EMS physicians. And I think what they're doing is they're planting their flag and saying, well, we have a role in this system too. It's kind of interesting because I don't understand why they want to run to the system, because I don't know where the money is to pay for them, as we talked about earlier. But I think that they kind of go through a bunch of different things, and some of the stuff is a little bit odd when they talk about online medical control, and they're trying to sort of move into the system. You know, we should be able to provide online medical control. Well, in California, nurses can provide OLMC. In North Carolina, they can too. And I think this kind of goes back and against the idea that we need to cultivate people who are experts in pre-hospital medicine. And I will tell you that as an EMS physician, my emergency medicine colleagues, they're probably not listening, but I think that my emergency medicine colleagues without EMS experience are not great EMS physicians. And I think that this idea that a nurse practitioner, just because of the training, that because they're a nurse practitioner, should have all these functions in EMS, is not a great call, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
On the other hand, this idea that you can put an independent practitioner out there who's licensed and can bill and can take care of lower acuity patients so they don't have to go to the emergency department, that is, I mean, that's pretty freaking gold, right?
Hell yes.
And and these are practitioners who are recognized as independent practitioners already. So it's definitely a mixed, I have a mixed feeling about this, but I totally understand sort of the EMS world's
posturing a little bit.
Frustration. Why are we not building career ladders for our EMS professionals?
Yeah.
Right?
I mean,
why are we not and instead turning to something like a PA or an NP? Why isn't there an advanced master's prepared paramedic? A paramedic practitioner, or a doctor of paramedic practice, who can provide these same set of skills. And I think that we should get there, but we're not quite there yet. I think that advanced practice folks have a role, especially as we try to match up the right resources to the right patient in the right time. But I also think that I don't think like a nurse practitioner who has no EMS experience has any real business kind of being a primary responder on a 911 call, for instance. Which is one of the things they talk about, is like their role in 911 calls. And they even said, well, they don't need to have protocols so they can kind of deviate from them. I'm like, I'm not sure I'm great with that.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting. Dave Olvera says it's coming, and he's got his mouth shut. Yeah.
Well, and in Oregon, and the other thing that's interesting too, that one piece that they say, and so this put me back to my place when I was my former role as state EMS medical director. But the one thing that they said is that that nurse practitioners should be recognized by the EMS system. And I got to tell you, I get really tired of people saying they want to be recognized. Like wilderness EMTs want a separate recognition.
Okay, now calm down now.
I know. But you're already an EMT and you're recognizing, we need a special wilderness. And I get this all the time. And I'll be honest. I mean, critical care paramedics and flight paramedics, they want a separate recognition. And I'm like, I can't make a fucking license for everybody who might show up. Right? So nurse practitioners are already licensed to provide care. I don't need to be recognized by the EMS system. I'm a doctor. My license allows me to provide care in any setting. So this idea that you need to be recognized by is kind of, I don't know, it's kind of weenie. So it's just one of the things that's always rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah. Not a lot of things rub you the wrong way. This. We got you going
That's
tonight.
true. That's true.
We got you going tonight. Well, it's good discussion. No one wanted to call. It's okay. That's okay. So Brad has got a question. Or why is there not a pathway to existing PAs or MPs license and establish a billing pathway? Yeah. I don't know.
Well, I think that's part of what you see in what my brain just farted. Thanks, Will or Bill Toon. Yes, I am a physician. I get that. That's what you're seeing in some of this demonstration projects where they're looking at using telemedicine. But I can tell you that that I'm pretty sure that Los Angeles does send a bill for when their advanced practice practitioner does provide care at the scene.
Yeah.
I think there is a way for them to especially if you're a licensed sort of Medicare provider, like most EMS certainly transport agencies are.
For sure.
Yeah. So I do think that there is a pathway to existing PA&P license and a billing pathway.
Yeah.
So Brad, you could just call that phone number and then we could talk.
I mean, no pressure or anything
No
like that.
pressure, but
It's
I would
like
love to have a
we've never
conversation.
done this before, and I thought, God, they'll be calling and call waiting will be going off. That's okay.
So
We'll
anyway,
have
I think
plenty.
this is a very fascinating topic, and I think that we, Ginger points out that there's no advanced degree for paramedicine. We've talked in the past about what makes a successful leader, and when people move on to what we would call higher levels, whether that's medical school or PA school.
We've got a call.
Oh, Brad's calling in.
Got a call. Hey, you're on the EMS show. Who's this?
Hey, it's Brad. They just asked me to call.
Oh, hi, buddy. You should turn your computer down.
Okay, let me do that quick.
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for
You're
calling.
Supposed to say long time listener, first time caller.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because there's going to be a little bit of delay from what you're hearing on the computer to what we got going on now. So, are you there?
I am.
All right. Well, hey, man. Well, thank you for calling. And
Thanks
clearly,
so much. I really appreciate this.
Yeah, I mean, we got the word that you are a nurse practitioner. Are you also a paramedic?
And paramedic.
All right, I love that. And so, tell us a little bit about your thoughts on this whole thing. I'm very, very curious to hear.
Yeah, so I have a couple disclosures.
Yeah.
One, I'm friends with the authors of the position statement.
Okay.
Two, I'm on the board of AAEMP and approved the statement.
Great.
Awesome.
Great.
And so I appreciate you all talking about it, and being both a nurse practitioner and a physician assistant, a paramedic. I definitely can appreciate both sides of the conversation. I guess one of the things is unscheduled care is going to look different as we move forward, and some people even describe emergency care as unscheduled care, and a lot of that is happening in the home now.
Right.
So where can we fit in that big system?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think in our own system, I try to think about the number of calls that we could keep, that we could refer to that nurse practitioner or PA unit and stack these calls, right? Like there's an initial triage that maybe there's not even a 911 response, but there's more of a, we'll get to you in the next few hours. Are you going to be around? Yeah, I'll be around. Okay, great. And then that call just sort of sits there. And then this advanced practitioner, whatever we want to call it, paramedic practitioner, nurse, whatever. I'm not hung up on the name personally about that. I know some people might, but I mean, I think there's a real role in overall system savings, in convenience for the patient. Quite frankly, they're clearly not plugged into potentially in many cases, a primary care provider of some kind. This could be an opportunity to intervene with that. I mean, I just think that the nurse practitioner, brings a lot of value to people that would otherwise just be transported to the ED and then discharged, and then the cycle continues. I mean, that's just my thought.
Yeah, definitely. I think that there is some amazing opportunities to prevent ED overcrowding, manage low acuity patients at home or in the street or wherever we take care of these unscheduled visits. But I think that there's a way to do that without interrupting, the specialty of paramedicine and what they bring to the field. Managing critical care patients and transporting the patients that they really care to take care of and can make a huge impact in transporting and saving those lives. I can tell you how many times a paramedic is not excited to transport the lowest acuity patient to the emergency department because it was their choice to go. And so there may be an opportunity to manage these patients exactly where they are.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and how many paramedics are excited to take that low acuity patient? Zero, right? I mean, if we're being honest,
all my firefighters are just dying.
Yeah,
to
they love to
low
do that.
acuity
But
patient.
yeah,
Hey, can I ask you? So again, first off, dude, I really appreciate your calling in. I thank you very much. I appreciate it very much. What were you a paramedic before you went to nursing school and got your NP?
For sure, and I'll tell you that's where my alliance has been for life. I started as a medic, went back to nursing school, became a nurse practitioner.
Do you think if there'd been a pathway to sort of a master's prepared sort of unscheduled care or paramedic practitioner that would have been of some interest to you?
Definitely. I would have definitely took that track. I have, an interest in pre-hospital medicine, and that's where, I started my career. And if that would have been a pathway for me to start with and knew that I could have a long-standing career that's somewhat lucrative and being able to increase my decision-making capability, increasing my autonomy and independence, that I probably would have taken that path. It just wasn't available.
So I think a lot of folks who are upset about this paper see this as a jump into the profession of paramedicine, but not. I think that this nurse paramedic rivalry is a thing, which it doesn't need to be, but it is. Yeah. But I think that an equal part, and my friend Loge, Dr. Barnes, also part of her frustration is that this pathway doesn't exist unless you leave the profession of paramedicine.
Or maybe it augments the profession. Maybe there's a good opportunity for there to be a bridge to existing professions versus building something new. So maybe we need to make that easier. I'll tell you, Steven is on the chat, and he's one of the authors on this paper. He's been trying to call in, but it's getting the voicemail. So it might be interesting to get his perspective because he's functioning as an EMS nurse practitioner currently.
That would be great. Yeah, I know that there was a rash of phone calls all of a sudden, and I mean, obviously we had you on, and I didn't want to hang up on you to answer somebody else. So, but listen, I mean, we can totally do that. If it looks like he's trying to call in, maybe I can go three-way. Hold on a second. Let's try to see if we can do this here.
Everybody likes a good three-way.
I know. Oops. We just need you to turn down your sound on the computer, and we'll get
barely
to it.
Hear him.
So Shivas, if you're listening, I need you to turn your computer down. It's just like when you're calling the radio station. Do people do that anymore? I just turned it down. All right, great. Well, hey, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. I know a couple of people had tagged you and were bugging you to call in, and welcome to the EMS show. We're having a lively discussion here about that position paper, and Brad was so gracious to give a call in and give his kind of point of view. But why don't you take a second, tell the people who you are, and then we'll get into a little chat here.
Hey, fantastic. Actually, it is a very fortunate moment that the NTI conference, which is one of the critical care nursing conferences, happens to be taking place in Houston right now. And as a part of that, Jacob Miller, who's also one of the other co-authors on this paper, is sitting right next to me.
Oh,
so
perfect.
You've got 50% of the authorship of the paper on this phone call.
Man,
Hello.
that is so great. Thank you guys for taking a few minutes to talk about this. So in case you've never heard of the EMS show, which is hard to believe because currently there are 10,000 people watching right now. But anyway, no, there's not. But Dr. Ritu Sani is EMS medical director and former president of NAMSP. And I'm Mike Verkest, and I'm a paramedic, and we both work here just outside of Portland, Oregon. So again, thank you so much for taking a couple minutes to chat with us.
Absolutely. You had asked me to introduce ourselves and talk about our backgrounds a little bit, and I'll try to keep it as brief. But this July is my 30th year in EMS, and will be my 27th year as a paramedic. My current role is as an EMS executive for a CAS accredited program in North Houston called Harris County Emergency Corps, and in that role, I function as the VP of Clinical Services there in support of our medical director and the clinical mission at HCEC.
Great.
So I'm a nurse practitioner boarded in family practice, emergency, and adult gerontology acute care. So I actually sat for 3 different MP boards and have remained active in EMS my entire career, which has been divided between ground and air medical-based programs, both in paramedic and nursing roles. And then I'll let Jacob introduce himself real quick.
Perfect.
So I've been a paramedic since 2007. I'm not doing math. I've been a paramedic since 2007, a nurse since 2006, and I've been flying as a nurse since 2012, so 10 years there, and as a flight nurse practitioner most recently since 2015. I continue to practice as a paramedic with the local fire department, but my full-time role is as a flight nurse practitioner with the University of Cincinnati's air care team up in Cincinnati, Ohio.
Perfect.
First helicopter I ever went on was a BK-117 at the University of Cincinnati.
Nice.
Got 117s and 145.
Yeah, it's a little bit more roomy nowadays.
It's nothing like the Cleveland Clinic's F-76, though. I actually worked for Cleveland Clinic when I first started my MP career, and I do miss the 76.
Yeah. It's like, there's room for everybody in one of those.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can play I think in the S-76, you put a basketball hoop up on either
right.
end.
Yeah, you got a basketball hoop on there, a little.
So I guess my question for you guys. So it's very interesting. First of all, you are unique characters in this because you have long established histories in EMS, and that's very much appreciated. But I guess one of the questions I would ask is, can you, from your end, I'm sure you are expecting some interesting blowback or response from some of the EMS community. And so I guess one of my questions would be, is it surprising that some EMS practitioners feel that this might be threatening or might be crossing into over a line? And again, I really appreciate you calling in. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one fun thing about public safety, they always say 100 years of tradition unimpeded by progress, right?
Right.
I certainly would not think that that everyone would be excited about this message. But honestly, I think a lot of the disagreement probably lies in a little bit of a misunderstanding of the intention of the role. And the role of the MP functioning in EMS is not to replace paramedic jobs. It is not to be, the EMS medical director. It is intended to be in a role of where
another set of eyes that's in an advanced practice role can be an assistant to the medical director, the eyes and ears of the medical director, and be a lot more hands-on in a clinical role or in certain administrative roles or in community health roles. There's a lot of different aspects to how a nurse practitioner may be able to augment an EMS system. So I think if we can start the conversation with, I don't think that we'll ever be in a place of where nurse practitioners are trying to actively and aggressively replace paramedics on ambulances. I think a lot more of a realistic scenario is that you'll have an EMS system that will have a handful, maybe, of advanced practice providers that are trying to further the mission and whatever your department calls it, whether it's the office of the medical director or the EMS medical director function, whatever you want to call it. The advanced practice provider is there to assist in that role to help further the clinical mission of the team.
So the fundamental question that I think a lot of paramedics would ask, and Bill Toon put it in the chat, is, well, why can't an advanced practice paramedic do that?
I'm not here to say that they can't. I'm just ready for it to happen.
Yeah.
And at this point, it hasn't happened.
Yeah.
No one would be more happy to have advanced degrees in EMS than me. One of the reasons why I went to nursing school was because I didn't have the similar educational pathway that I had as an MP.
Yeah.
And if that had been present at the time I went to school, that's what I would have done. I mean, I've spent my entire career in pre-hospital care, and my sole mission at my primary employer is in the realm of pre-hospital care. So I'd be more than happy to help facilitate the development of the specialty, but I don't think that specialty is going to be here in 5 years.
Thank you again. You guys are these are great. This is a great response. So what I'm hearing though too is, had that role been there, had there been an advanced practice paramedic or a paramedic practitioner, that would have been something that would have piqued your interest, sort of as career growth, career ladder, leadership, et cetera, et cetera.
100%. Absolutely. I'm about to be 48 years old, and I just don't know if I had much more time to wait around for it to happen.
Yeah.
You're a kid.
I just don't want to die first.
Yeah.
Selfishly, I picked a different route, but I certainly think that paramedics are completely capable of the educational pathway. I think paramedics are the right provider to have in that role. I think they are uniquely positioned to take care of pre-hospital patients, and we should continue to foster that idea.
Yeah.
So let me
clarification to bring up too is, we're not saying that any nurse practitioner is qualified to be on the street. I think the other important point of this paper is that individual must be qualified to take that position as well. So I think some folks are under the opinion that we're saying that, any random FNP from the doctor's office or the urgent care can all of a sudden start going out in an ambulance and treating patients, and that's also not our intent. We need to have, if you look at, actually that paper didn't have authors listed on there, but the authorship on that paper, 3 of the 4 of us hold paramedic certification. 3 of the 4 of us have a background in, paramedicine or EMS in some way, shape, or form, and are practicing EMS as advanced practice providers.
Yeah.
So you have to have a qualified individual in that role as well. Ideally, someone, I'm not saying they have to have EMS background. Sarah, one of our co-authors, she does not have an EMS background, but she's also doing a lot of the lower acuity responses that is more aligned with that mobile integrated healthcare kind of EMS evaluates them, and she's kind of there to help facilitate that disposition and some of that bridging the outpatient to primary care or inpatient to primary care kind of connection within her community. So I think the other thing is, that whoever that person is must be qualified, and maybe that's where that can lead into that development of a process to become, an advanced practice paramedic or paramedic practitioner. And I know that there are some places that are using that term for their physician assistants that are working in the field that are also paramedics that are functioning in that paramedic practitioner role.
Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead, Dr. Sani.
Well, I appreciate that. I will say this, and again, this is in the context of what I'm finding to be a super interesting and collegial discussion. But one of the things that I don't see in this position paper is any discussion around that very topic, around saying, well, it's not for every NP that an EMS NP should have specific training around EMS. So I'm boarded in emergency medicine as well as EMS medicine. And I believe that as a physician, that my colleagues in emergency medicine don't know really that much about EMS. Matter of fact, it's not that I believe that. I, in fact, know that.
Yeah.
That's why we've created a specialty of EMS that's board certified.
Absolutely. And to your point, I still see emergency departments that are being covered with family medicine doctors that are not board certified in emergency medicine, but frankly do a fairly good job at it. They've been country doctors for a long time and serve a community. I'm not here to say that the specialty isn't there for a reason. Obviously, having board certified individuals in a role specific to the environment they're practicing in makes the most sense. I think to give a little bit of grace to the nurse practitioner community, this is a fairly new and developing concept. Emergency medicine as a specialty has been around in its modern evolution, for the last 30 years or so, whereas emergency nurse practitioners are a lot younger, and the idea of emergency nurse practitioners kind of working in EMS is still a very new concept. I think ultimately what we were interested in is development of subspecialty training and education specific for EMS, for nurse practitioners that don't have a background in pre-hospital care, so that if they are going to function in the role, that they can participate and have an educational pathway that makes them more successful in those roles.
I think Dr. Sani's reading the chat here a little bit.
It says in the training and qualifications, it says that they should meet at a minimum the qualifications set out for emergency NPs. But I work with NPs who I think are great. They do a great job seeing a subset of my patients, but not a single one of them would I entrust to work in the EMS environment without further EMS training, much like I, again, believe that my emergency physician colleagues are not EMS specialists either.
Yeah, but I think and that's not to speak to our for our guest but I think they sort of hit on that a little bit, right? Like they're not going out running codes necessarily, right? They're going out taking care of these lower acuity patients, more on the line of the people that would come into the office, right, and visit and say, yeah, I've been feeling like shit for a few days, blah blah blah, whatever, what's going on with me, right? I mean, is that fair to say to our guests?
I think part of it comes down to what the role is that advanced practice provider is filling within that EMS system. And that's why we wanted to keep it vague.
Yeah.
I actually do personally practice on the opposite end of that spectrum. I fly high acuity patients. I work as a flight NP.
Yeah.
So to that note, I don't necessarily need to have the competencies in the minor care patients because that is not the patient that I am seeing in my practice. Whereas, again, my colleague Sarah, that was the co-author on the paper, she only takes care of the lower acuity patients who really doesn't need that high acuity.
Yeah.
So some of that training and education, that's why we listed it kind of vaguely, is it really is specific to that role. And certainly you could have someone who's in an administrative role who doesn't have clinical practice at all, and their competencies may be different than a patient-facing advanced practice provider in that EMS system or in a different EMS system. So I think a lot of it just depends on individualizing it to the person who's in that role. Certainly there should be some baseline set of competencies, and that's where we reference the emergency NP competencies. Not necessarily the certification, but the competencies set forth by ENA and AANP. And then from there, you add on the role-specific or the task-specific competencies that your system needs and that individual to fill the tasks that they are being tasked to fill.
And those are great points, Jacob. And something else that I would mention is, I'm not sure if the listeners on the call are aware, but in my emergency nurse practitioner program, largely the first year of curriculum was related to EMS operations and disaster medicine. So I actually had a relatively substantial focus on EMS. I didn't have rotations in EMS, which I would love to make happen one day. But there is, at least in my program at UT Houston, there was a focus on EMS in our curriculum.
Awesome.
Well, in Houston, you can't do anything without an EMS focus. So, well, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much for calling in. I think so. Ginger Locke, appreciate her listening and posting. There is an existing NAMSP position statement about NPs and PAs in the EMS system, and I would say that I don't know if you guys read that. I can't remember if you referenced that statement. I think you might have already.
I'm going to guess they did.
Nope.
Actually, surprisingly, Jacob is an author on that statement.
On the NAMSP statement. Yeah, I see it. But look, it looks like you didn't reference it in the statement, or did you?
We did.
But I think they actually align relatively well with what you're saying in a lot of ways. The statement that the position statement, the NAMSP one. So yeah. Although it looks like Tom Platt, my friend Tommy, was also part of the NAMSP author paper. So I think this is great. I think that this is interesting conversation, and I very much appreciate the statements that you guys made in terms of, like, if it was there for me, I would have taken it.
Yeah.
But I think that one of the things we've identified is that it's just not there unless somebody moves into a different profession.
Yep. Yep, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think EMS has a lot of work to do in this area to continue to encourage people to go back for education, to focus on really raising the bar to the next level. And, I think if EMS providers want to broach this barrier, they're going to have to embrace the educational pathway required to do it. And I am so excited to see the day that the first paramedic practitioner graduates from a master's program and is really ready to engage in that role. I mean, I look at what they're doing in Australia with EMS, and it's just amazing to see the paradigm and educational pathways between the U.S. and Australia.
Yeah, agreed. Well, hey, listen, we'll let you guys go. Thank you so much. And we would, by the way, we just need to have you come on and do a live with us. Like, maybe we can get together next month. I'll message you on Facebook. We would love to have you guys on here, and we can whip this whole thing up again and start having a good conversation, if you guys would be down with that.
Absolutely. We'd love to.
Awesome. Well, that sounds great. We'll let you guys go. Thank you so much. Thanks for taking time out of your night, unannounced, uninvited, the whole 9 yards. Golly, that was wonderful. Thank you guys so much.
Absolutely. You guys have a great night.
All right,
and
you
y'all
too.
Stay safe and happy EMS week.
Thank you. You guys too. Take care. Well, shoot, it looks like our first attempt at having a caller worked out.
That was great. Thanks,
Only the friggin', 50% of the authors of the paper we were talking about.
Yeah.
Thanks to our listeners who reached out and did some stuff. That was awesome. And so I'll just end it with this. We have one more topic we got to talk about. Yes, Bill 2, and it is a clinical topic. It is relevant to the things that are going on. But, the more I'm hearing, these guys talk, the more I see the chat, the conversations, the people texting me. I have 75 messages here. Like, people are listening and paying attention to this. The more I'm thinking a couple of things. One is people are going to be mad at me. There's going to be a certain segment of people that are going to be mad at me. I think Bill Toon's going to be pissed at me. I think we're too slow to move. There is our patients, the people we serve. This is not 1968, right? This is not 1972. The people that we're serving, they're calling with different they're calling with different issues. And I think a lot of these issues, we have, fewer rigs on the road. There are so many dynamic issues that affect EMS systems across the country. I don't understand. I mean, on one hand, I understand the things that Bill and Ginger are saying, like, we need the education. We need people to go and fill these out, just like they said, right? Like, if that would have been an opportunity for me to go do this with an EMS focus, I would have done it. Well, guess what? There ain't. And as much shit as people take in our industry about just an associate's degree that can't even go or won't go do an associate degree because it's not going to make them better. What are we supposed to do? We all have the same thing at the end of the day. We want to take care of the people. And if right now no one, and this sounds bad, I'm not saying no one, but no one wants to go do a degree program. No one wants to up the game. No one wants to make the standards higher. We still have people that need to be taken care of. And this is a group of people that I see that, at least for right now, can they help bridge that gap? Like, is there not enough patience for all of us? Like, we can't come up with a collaborative way to sort of, like, I don't see this as like some kind of an assault on paramedics or taking our jobs. Like, that makes no sense to me. Like, why? I don't understand why we just can't figure out a way to go, you have this skill set, we have this one. Our patients that we serve need all those and more, right? We need, by the way, we need social workers. What about the social workers when they come knocking on the EMS agency door? Hey, do you need some help with your frequent users and all this kind of stuff? Like, are we going to be offended by that? It's just, it sort of boggles my mind. Yes, we need these things in EMS, 100%. There is no pathway at all. Like, you can't even go get an associate's degree somewhere if you want. Like, I'm in my bachelor's program right now. Like, I'm working on it. But is the lower acuity people we want to go do? Is that what I want to go do? I have my bachelor's. I want to go take care of them more. No, but there are people that want to do that. They love doing that. They're a gift for those patients. They should do that. We should be working together to do this, right? Find a way for them to fit in there. Let's make it a round peg in the round hole and not trying to jam the square into the round. Like, it makes no sense. I don't understand the turf wars. It's weird. Anyway, sorry. Golly.
Usually I go on a rant. You went on a little bit of a rant. That's good.
Well, shoot, man.
Yeah. I don't even know if we need to talk about another topic. I think we can just leave it at this.
We probably can. Okay, well, that's fine. Well, listen, we should, if you're watching and you have people that were commenting on this paper, or like if you shared it in a group, would you share this broadcast with them, and tell them to, you can scan forward to whatever time it was. I don't even know now how long we've been going. We've been going an hour and 15 minutes. Holy shit. So, if they don't like the jackassery, whatever, they can scan forward. But we got 50% of the people that wrote this paper were just on our show. And I think that's awesome. All right. I had one more thing, by the way. Oh gosh, dang it. It's too fast right there. Sentence. She got probation. We don't have a lot more time.
Which can be like removed from her record if she follows through with it. Too.
Right. So I think that's good. Yes, Mike is pumped. But finally, here's the last thing. Again, thanks for joining us tonight, this EMS week. It's special. I post a lot of sarcastic EMS week shit on my Facebook, like the burnt hot dogs and all that shit. Like, it's funny. And then the Jurassic Park thing, nobody cares that it's EMS week. Well, we all care, and I care, and we love you guys, and thanks for hanging out. But here's the most important thing. And it's this. And here's the thing. Ritu doesn't care much, about Top Gun, because it wasn't, you go through this, it just wasn't a thing for you, right? Isn't that what we talked about? It's just like, it wasn't like
I'm a little bit older than you, just a few years. So when Top Gun came out, I was already in college.
Yeah.
So I didn't do mainstream shit in college. So
for me, I was
Top Gun is not a thing for me.
I was a freshman in high school, and it was very pop culture. It was very awesome. And so so my wife and my son and Ritu, because his wife couldn't. Janet couldn't make it, but we're going to see this in IMAX the day before it gets officially released. So we got basically the 9:45 p.m. showing that Thursday before it comes out. And God bless America. I am so excited. I've stayed away from any, what is it? Where they're going to give it away? Spoilers. Yeah. I've stayed away from all that stuff because people have already seen it, right? They bring people in to see it and they're doing reviews on YouTube, and I'm not watching it, but I will say, and you sent me an article, reviews have been phenomenal. They're saying it's better than the original. So that's a bold ass statement. So we'll see.
Did you want to do a live when we come out, like at 11:30? Just pop on and give our
Maybe we should. I don't know. Anyway, if you're still hanging here or listening, whatever, there's a few people left. Thank you guys again. We love you.
Much.
Appreciate it.
And thanks again to Brad and Shivas and
yeah,
everybody for calling in. That was wonderful. And Jacob, we appreciate that.
It was super awesome. All right. So on behalf of Dr. Ratusani, Mike Verkest, you've been watching to and listening to the EMS show. We love having you. Happy EMS week. And we will see you guys on the next one. Take care. We'll see you.
Take care.
Hey, thanks for listening to the EMS show. Let's continue this conversation. What do you say? Check out the official Facebook page and Twitter feed. The EMS show is a Fire Dog production.